Hello and welcome back to the Witching Hour, an hour where we witch. So, so basically today is going to be a fun conversation.
We're going to be fun.
Oh, it's going to be fun. We're talking about conspiracy theories, and it's fun because we kind of have different interests, I guess. Like, we have similar interests and we have different interests. But when it came to this, a lot of Cass's are like sciencey based, and mine are a lot like pop culture based. A lot of the government and things like that. So you get a nice variety of things. So don't look.
What?
Don't look. This is all supposed to be a surprise.
The first one caught my attention.
I know. She always cheats and she always looks at my notes.
It's funny.
All right, so we'll get into the ones that we believe in, and that's what we're really gonna be focusing on, are conspiracy theories that like we are behind. Like, we believe these theories, like these are real. But we'll start off with some like funny ones, some, just briefly, some ones that we don't believe in.
And then some I genuinely question that I have no idea which side to stand on.
Right, me too. I have some of those as well. So that's before we'll get into the big ones. I mean, we'll try to get into as many as possible. We do have a time limit.
Unfortunately, circus.
Yeah. She's circusing. So if we don't get to a lot, then we'll eventually get there in some way or another.
We should do like a part 2.
Yeah, we'll definitely do a part 2 because I definitely have more. I didn't write down every single one.
Yeah.
Right.
I have some about like dead poets and stuff.
Yeah. I have one about Shakespeare. So
he was gay.
We'll get into it. Don't get me started. All right, so let's start off with some of the funny ones. The one that caught your eye, that Avril Lavigne is dead and replayed. So the conspiracy goes like this. Brief run through. Back during her prime time, like things like Skater Boy and like all that shit.
Yo,
like this
the
is
bomb.
Right.
Thanks
this is
for my happy ever. What? I don't even know the song.
Are we thinking about the same Avril Lavigne? You're thinking about the replaced Avril Lavigne.
Oh no.
So basically, I gotta take off my
Taylor
glasses for this.
Swift.
Yeah, she's dead.
She's a lizard.
She's a lizard. She's definitely a lizard. So Avril Lavigne, like this gets a little dark. This theory gets a little dark. Oh, and by the way, before we start, like these are theories. Like, don't sue us. Like, we don't mean we're just kids. We're just kids, okay? So we're not saying any of these are true. We're saying these theories. That's the theory part in conspiracy theories. But anyway, Avril Lavigne is dead
and replaced.
So back during that time, like, her grandpa died and she was like in a really bad spot, and like supposedly like she had like committed suicide or something like that, right?
What?
And like so she had like a body double. Because when she was getting popular, paparazzi would like follow her. So you get a body double. That part's real. But
I'm physically cringing.
But after she dies, she was in her like peak height, and so they're like, okay, we got to get the body double to replace her because she's too popular to be dead. So then they had the body double replace her. And if you actually look, like, there's a whole bunch of things. I don't believe it. I don't believe this one. This is funny. It's just like, okay, Avril Lavigne's dead. But if you like look at the photos and stuff, like you could look at her arm, and before there were 3 birthmarks and now they're not there. Or like if you just look at her face, it's like slightly different. And like even if you just hear her music and stuff, it's like, it was like, he was a skater boy, she said see you later boy, and then it goes to like her appropriating Japanese culture and like singing like kawaii style.
I'm cringing.
Yeah.
Wait, kawaii style? What am I missing? Where have I been?
You want me to play you a sample of this? It's pretty bad. Like, let's see. Avril Lavigne.
Like my skin is actually
Japanese
like I'm getting
anime.
itchy.
Like she was like a Harajuku girl, like kind of like Gwen Stefani.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, it's called Hello Kitty. It's called Hello Kitty. And then, like, when people responded to it, she was like, LOL, like, I'm not racist.
Yeah, wait, hold on. This movie bothers me.
Yeah, blockers. I hate the way they say it because you hear. This movie's stupid.
Well, it's, like, weird. It's like dads, they want to prevent their daughters from losing their virginity.
We're talking about the movie Blockers because it's on an ad right now.
Right, and it has a rooster. Oh.
So I feel like...
Who says major rager?
Right, so I'm just saying, like, I don't believe Avril Lavigne is dead, but, like, this makes me want to believe Avril Lavigne is dead and replaced. Anyway, want to hear my next funny one? I don't know if you have any funny ones.
I'm, like, cringing. Like, my skin is, like, crawling.
Okay, well, Santa is Satan. So, like, you know, obviously the obvious ones are, like, it's a big man in all red. But, like, this is basically, like, a conspiracy theory made by, like, Christians.
What? Of course.
Right. Because...
I mean...
Because it's a man that flies around all throughout the world the day before Christmas, the day before Jesus' birthday, to distract from Jesus. So he's Satan, so he takes away all the actual attention around Jesus.
I don't even know what to say about that. I'm just gonna smile and wave.
Next one, North Korea is really a utopia. That's why like there's no photos and no videos, because they don't want other people coming and ruining the utopia. And
like I said, I'm just smiling.
And the last thing is that Cardi B is controlled by the Illuminati, and like the proof of that is, you know, in the Grammys, you know, when she's talking.
I've been quoting her for the last like 3 days.
Oh,
yes, I did it today at Chipotle, and I was really disappointed in myself.
But do you remember in the Grammys when she was like talking, and then all of a sudden she was like, yeah. And she stares off into space, like she had like a raven vision, and then she like jumps back into it. They're like, oh, well, that was like, you know, that's like...
She had a glitch.
Yeah, she had a glitch. The Illuminati like stopped for a second, and then like her family members like kind of look at her for a second, and then as soon as they look at her, she like turns back on.
Wait, did I ever send you that video of Cardi B, and it says, what is wrong with her? And it's just like a compilation of the weirdest noises. I think it's
a lot less of Illuminati and just she's just so weird.
Go her.
I don't... Let's see, once I thought before, I mean, there was at one point where I thought, like, that Selena Gomez and Demi Lovato were actually, like, dating. You remember how they had that whole fallout?
No. What? Yes, I remember that, but where would you get them dating from?
Okay, because if you think about it, like, they were so close, and then every time you talk about it with them, it was like, it's like you're talking about an ex every time they talked about each other. Like,
but that's like if me and you broke up, like, our friendship. Yeah,
but, like, we wouldn't be like, fuck that bitch, like...
I mean, I probably would if I was really mad.
I mean, yeah, if you were, like, really mad. But, like, it sounded like, from my experience with, like, friends, like, you don't just, like, break up, like, with a long-term best friend from, like, your childhood.
Right.
Like,
it doesn't abruptly end like that unless something really bad happens.
Exactly. Like, either you drift apart or, like, or, like, what? Like, something really bad happened. Like, there wasn't...
Right. You're right.
Yeah, from our knowledge, there was nothing, like, really
There's
big.
something missing.
Exactly. And then, like, that her dating Justin Bieber was, like, a publicity stunt for the both of them.
They just make me uncomfortable.
Right.
They just need to stop.
Yeah, I kind of dropped that now that they're back together, but maybe
they're
it was
not, apparently.
Oh, see, maybe it wasn't a publicity stunt, and maybe it was, and then they actually like liked each other, and then they broke up and they got back together. See, that's what I'm saying.
I don't know. The whole thing makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah, but and then the ones I question, I did a lot of talking. Let's talk about yours that you're not sure about.
Wait, no, you go first.
Okay.
Break the ice. I'm
okay,
nervous.
So I'll break the ice with like a chill one. The whole like Mandela effect, like that kind of gets me sometimes. Like, you know, the prime example, every time anybody talks about the Mandela effect, they talk about the Berenstain Bears and how it's really Berenstain Bears.
Yeah, the Berenstain Bears, and it's like Berenstain. Yes, that makes me really uncomfortable, especially because I Googled it. Not Googled, but this was like 3 years back, too. I was YouTubing this show because I used to be in love with this show. And it was just it was not popping up. And I'm like, what the heck? Did I make this up in my head? Because I have that moment a lot.
Right.
And then it just pops up in a meme like 2-3 years later. Oh, it's spelled this way.
Yeah,
no,
and it's just
not.
like, right.
It's not.
And see, the psychology in me is just like, you know, you can alter people's memories, or like, you know, you can alter your own memory by thinking one thing, or like, you know, you're just like reading something really fast and you just automatically assume
and stuff like that.
Right, but like it's just with a lot of these effects, it's like how can so many people think one thing?
Right.
You know, for example, another example is like how everybody remembers, you know, Luke, I am your father, not no, I am your father. That can be, you know, so many people just say Luke, I am your father that we all just automatically think, oh, Luke, I am your father.
I always thought, no, I am your father.
Yeah, no, I am your father. You're right. Yeah.
I was like, I never thought about the Luke one. I was like, But then again, I watched that like religiously.
Exactly. But at the same time, the guy who played Darth Vader when asked, he literally was like, oh, it's Luke, I am your father. Is that because so many people are saying it, or because, like, there was a Mandela effect and he forgot his own line, like his own famous line? Weird. So it's just, like, it's very, questioning it. Like, I'm just like, I don't know. Is it just, like, a flaw in people's memories? Yeah. So that one I'm like, I don't know about, because people's memories are flawed. Like,
that is true. And it's
so easy to change people's memories.
It's so easy to, like, warp. Like, for example, when you break up with somebody, you, like, your memories are kind of warped towards the negative if it ended negatively, or, like, years later, if they broke up with you and you thought everything was fine when it really wasn't, you start picturing things as they weren't.
It's a hindsight bias. Right. I just came from my class that he literally used that exact example. Yeah, it's a hindsight bias, awkward. Basically. That's weird. That is really weird. But yeah, so it's really easy for your memory to be altered, or like, thinking back on it and stuff. Okay, do you want the one that you question? I only have one other one that I question.
I don't think I really have one that I question.
Oh, like you're not sure about.
Well, the Bermuda Triangle, first off. I am from Puerto Rico, and apparently part of the island is in that region that there's, like, no, like, I don't even know how to describe it, like, no radar systems or anything like that. And there have been stories of people who go into this part of the forest called El Yunque that they go missing. If you, like, hit a certain part of the forest, like, you're gone and you disappear, and then they find shoes and stuff like that, but the person's never found.
What if it's, like, a whole, like, lost situation, like the show Lost?
Right. It's, like, it's strange.
Like, is someone hiding out there, like, taking these people? Like,
right, and
like,
in
is
Puerto
it like
Rico,
that? Or?
There's a lot of places where they have, like, these giant telescopes, in particular in the forest, because it's, like, the nicest place to have them. It's nice and dark, whatever. And so that's one of the things where, like, it really gets you thinking, like, what the heck is out there? And then why are there so many spatial things there? Like, telescopes. There's a bunch of reading instruments that they use from there.
Yeah.
Just like in Hawaii.
Right.
They have them way up in the volcanoes.
That's Mojo Jojo. That's 100% Mojo Jojo. As for the other thing, I don't know. Like, it is a conspiracy, because it's like, there has to be something there. Like, why don't we know about it?
Right. And, like, why is it so taboo to talk about it? It's, like, weird. Like, people don't really talk about it. They don't really question it. They're just kind of like, oh, it's the Bermuda Triangle. And then everybody shuts up and continues on with their day.
Right.
I never really thought about it.
What if the government's watching me right now through my camera and they're like, Cassandra Rivera and Jada Savala, we need to have them. They need to be eliminated. They know too much.
Oh, no. RFID chips.
Oh, my. Yeah, the chips in our head. Oh, no. The other one that I question.
That nervous laugh.
The other one that I question. This one's funny. So it's just like, it's funny, but like, to an extent, I feel like it is true. That celebrities and pop culture happen, and like big things like happen to distract us from the big things, the real things going on in the world. Like, some people are like, oh, you're so distracted by it.
I don't question that one as much. I'm like, there has to be a thing like Ebola. Where'd it go?
Right.
It didn't just stop happening.
So, like, people are like, I feel like people automatically think that people just automatically pay too close attention to pop culture and choose to ignore these worldly things. But I think that, like, when things happen, the media blasts it purposely to distract you what's actually going on in the real world. A specific example is that the Kardashians are literally part of the Illuminati. But like the example,
and like Beyonce and her pregnancy and Jay-Z.
Right. So the example behind the Kardashians is like, they literally are famous for doing nothing, but like everybody watches Keeping Up with the Kardashians.
I think a lot of the rise of their fame was back to the OJ trial.
Yeah.
With their dad, Robert Kardashian, that was part of the dream team of the defense team. And like that's when the name really started spiraling. And then there was rumors about Chris sleeping with OJ.
Right.
And then like Khloe and stuff like that.
Right. So they probably saw that then and they're like, this family's fucked up. Let's put them on reality TV because they're so
there's
distracting.
No reason for them to, besides the fact that they were super loaded, there was like no real reason
for them to continue after that.
Right, to continue. Well, like how many years now? Like
exactly
like 20.
Almost like what?
Like they've been in the limelight.
That was 1996. OJ was 1996. So 21.
Yeah,
I'm 21.
Right,
and I was born in 1996.
That name's been in the public for a long time.
Yeah. So like when Caitlyn came out as transgender, what was going on? I forgot what was going on, but there was something big that was going on in the world. See, I don't know. Or like, do you remember when I don't know if you saw this, but Wendy Williams, like on the Wendy Williams show or whatever.
When she fainted?
Yeah. There was also something huge going on, but everybody was talking about Wendy Williams fainting rather than talking about what was going on.
That was fake, by the way?
Exactly, because they're trying to
okay, but who goes
distract us, and then grabs. she went like this. She grabbed her head, and she was like.
But like, who falls into a perfect ball?
Right.
And she like.
Right. Like that whole thing seems weird, and I feel like it was made to distract. Like, let's put it on blast to distract us. Yeah, Google it. While she's Googling that, we're gonna get to the ones we believe in. We also are going to have a guest on the show.
Ooh, first guest.
First guest. Our pal Andrew Conboy. I don't know. I'm sorry. Should I not have blasted your name for the government to know? He's quiet. I made a mistake.
Wait, I'm watching her face, and it just cracks me up.
Oh, she found the Wendy Williams. But yeah, we're gonna have our friend Andrew come on in because he's if you want to come in right now, you're gonna sit right in the. Right
okay,
in the
so
center.
This was November 2nd-ish, around there.
Thanks for having me.
Like October.
Excited to be the first guest.
Did you find it?
Yeah,
what was going on?
I mean,
news. Wait, this was of 2017, right?
Yeah.
All right. November 2017. Big news. Yeah. See, because like you're so distracted by that, like.
And like at this point, why are we googling it? Because if they use it as a distraction, it's probably not on the internet anyway. So on that note, I'm just gonna close all this out.
Oh, was it the hurricanes?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, everything
Maria.
bad is happening. Like, let's have Wendy Williams faint on her show.
It sounds stupid, but like, people were so distracted by it.
Right, because like people like that stuff. Like, they're not gonna be like, oh, hurricanes. They're gonna be like, Wendy Williams.
And like the
dead.
people who watch Wendy Williams are older too.
Right.
So it's like the older people. They start like a panic frenzy.
Right, because they care more about Wendy Williams than people dying in hurricanes.
Boomers.
It also has to tie in with like the news and like each media outlet has like their own like agenda, I guess. Yeah. And they cover certain things and don't cover other things to like distract and all that stuff.
See, this is why we brought Andrew in. All right. Do you have? Oh wait, no. You talked about yours, right? Are you good to move on to like the ones we believe in? All right. Okay. So I tried to mix up like fun ones with like kind of serious ones, because like I mean the first one I have.
Yeah, mine are kind of hard hitting.
Okay.
So.
Well, kind of mix of both. I mean, the first one I have is like pretty obviously true. Like that our phones and our laptops are always like tapped in, and like I say hi to the FBI agent when I open up my laptop when I'm naked in front of my laptop. I'm like, oops, it's too late already.
Mm-hmm.
Like he hasn't already seen me. He or she hasn't already seen me. Like picking my nose, like naked in front of the camera, because I know they're always watching it. I don't have anything to cover it, and at this point, it's just like, why cover it?
Hold on, I thought of. Back to the Wendy Williams thing. I don't know. I have to say it now. I will forget. Okay, this is really fucking weird. I had a dream. I had a dream that I got hired as an FBI agent to create memes to... Yeah, this is really weird. This was like 2 weeks ago. I got hired as an FBI agent to create memes to distract people.
Right, and that's another thing. Like the Tide Pod challenge was like taking wave.
Yeah,
nobody's
like,
actually eating Tide Pods, but they made it seem like everybody was dying.
Like who would do that in the first place?
And I saw like an article about like the FBI hiring or like having like 10,000 people who like are just internet trolls and just like spread misinformation.
Internet troll.
They like spread misinformation on like YouTube videos and stuff like that.
Oh my god!
I don't know if it's true or not.
So that's probably all the people commenting on all the bullshit on like Instagram and YouTube and Facebook, like all of those crazy arguments.
Yeah, or when you see something like climate change that has like so much scientific backing, and then there's like you go on YouTube and there's like thousands of people who are like adamantly against it and like everything.
Right.
I knew a girl in elementary school who got into an argument with me because, of course, I've always been. And we were talking about climate change and how, listen, it was elementary school. We were talking about the polar bears, okay? And she got into an argument with me because she said that it wasn't real and that her dad told her that it wasn't real and that we're all just bullshitters and we're, like, lying to everybody. But, like, they were smarter than all of us because they knew that it wasn't real and blah, 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 that how it's possible. And I'm like, child, it's happening. I don't know. Have you seen the polar bears? I don't know about you, but...
Right. And like most people's argument for that is like global warming. It's been winter for 10 months, and it's
that's
just like
part of it.
Yeah, it's like global warming doesn't literally mean that like it's always warm. Like that just obviously shows that you don't know what you're talking about.
And it's a gradual thing. It's not like overnight it jumps like 30 degrees and all of a sudden it's like fucking 140 in Philadelphia. No, like it doesn't work that way. It's a gradual thing that's been happening for years and we're only accelerating it.
Yeah, and I think the most like convincing evidence is like if you look at the average temperature in like 2014, it was the highest in 2014. 2015 was the highest average global temperature. 2016 was, 2017, 2018 will be. So it's like we're getting warmer each year. There's like millions of like things measuring temperature around the globe, and we know we're getting warmer.
Right, and if you continue to extrapolate that,
it's gonna burn. It's gonna be in fire. And it goes back to my Zootopia theory where we all die and
then the animals come back.
And the animals take over. I heard a very compelling argument for like why the world ended in like during 9/11. Like right now we're just going through like perpetual hell, and that like Trump is the Antichrist.
9/11 could be another conspiracy theory because
I have that, and I don't know if we're gonna get into it right now because I have a lot on that. But like I have it
later.
Like just know that I have it, and just know that I will get feedback. And like I'll just say it right now, and I'll say it when we actually talk about it. I'm not talking about the people who passed away, and I'm not talking about the people who served.
It's really touchy because so many people like affected so many lives.
But that's not what I'm talking about. Like I still like I'm so like I respect the people who helped out. I like respect the people who like passed away from it.
People are like blinded by the tragic side of it, and without thinking about.
Like I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about who did it. In order to, like, put all these lives at risk. I'm just saying. We're not going to get into it, but I'm just saying. I believe in some conspiracies. So, take that. Anyway. You want to... Your first conspiracy?
Chemtrails. They're a real thing. I personally believe in them. And I don't know, like... It just doesn't make sense to have these perfectly nice lines in the sky when there's like, air currents. Like, all of this crazy stuff, and how you just get these, like, perfect lines, and then they just spread and spread and spread equally. Like, they just, well, it's too symmetrical,
explain
too perfect.
Explain what chemtrail,
Oh.
Yeah.
Andrew could do that.
Go ahead.
Well, I guess the whole thing behind chemtrails, like, planes, whether the pilots know it or not, are spraying, like, small particulate matter in the atmosphere, like metals and, like, toxins for, like, biological life that are affecting the way we think and affecting our lives, causing cancer, causing disease, that kind of stuff. And I forget what I was going to go with it. I think the most like interesting thing when I think about chemtrails is like some days you look up in the sky, there's like no sign of, they call it contrails, which is like supposed to be like the safe airplane like
the tracings, like where they write like Jesus loves you.
Yeah, like the regular airplane exhaust. Like they call that contrails, and they say it like. And if you watch, like sometimes the contrails like disappear after like 3 seconds, but sometimes you'll have, and some days like you'll see planes all over the place, but you won't see any trails whatsoever. But then like the next day you'll see like the whole sky is like fake clouds, like you can't even see the sun because it's like.
Yeah, it's really weird, and most of the time they go in the same direction. Like, they don't cross, like, they're completely, like, parallel, and they go down. And it's just, I don't know, I think it's just so symmetrical. It's a little too perfect for it to be nature.
And there's like, schools now that are bigger universities that are, like, studying geoengineering, they're calling it. So, like, I don't know. And there's, like, been military officials that have come out and, like, just admitted it. That we, like, do this stuff.
They're like, sorry, guys.
For one reason or another, whether it's, like, weather modification or if it's to, like, in the geoengineering, they say it's to like, mitigate the effects of climate change, like, to cool our planet temporarily. But, I don't know. It has to affect, even, let's say, best case scenario, they're all contrails. These, like, trails from these planes don't affect anything. They're still blocking out a lot of light, and they're still affecting every photosynthetic organism, which, like, affects a lot, like it.
And it's not like it's the first time that they use planes to release some sort of toxin to do something, whether it be positive or negative. Like, we can look back at the world wars.
Yeah.
Vietnam. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not the first time that they have used this mechanism of getting things out there. Like Agent Orange, they killed so many things, you know what I mean? So it's like...
And that shit was crazy.
Right. The effects are still seen today in the vegetation.
Right. Like, and that, like... it went like that was like everywhere. Like, and once that was out, it was like you're done for. Like,
exactly,
you're fucked. Like, not, like any living thing, it was like you're fucked.
Right. So it's not. They did that so quickly, and they really wiped out a lot in a very short amount of time. Imagine these. I guess, like, it's over a periodic time because we're not all just dropping dead.
Right.
Like, it's causing, like, gradual effects. That's probably why, again, cancer is, like, increasing like crazy. Right. Also, that's another thing. I'll bring that up later. Continue. Go ahead.
You know what I was actually just thinking about? Like, this isn't written down or whatever, but, like, you know how they always talk about, like, oh, like, you drink tap water because there's fluoride in the water to, like, get...
Yeah, fluoride,
to get, like... you know, better teeth. Like, since when did the government fucking care about our dental, like,
why
hygiene?
Does it matter?
Like, why is that, like, that's, like, the one argument, like, to keep drinking tap water, like, drink the fluoride because you need better teeth. Like, I don't know, maybe it's, like, I've heard some, like, mind-controlling agents or some shit, or maybe it's just, like, killing us so you could get our money. Like,
right, and there are, like, a lot of things now lately are, like, stay hydrated. Did you drink water? Did you this? Did you that?
Yeah.
And it's, like, not just in, like actual advertisement for health or whatever, but it's
like
it's
the
in
fucking game shows.
Yeah, it's like in games and stuff like that. Like, did you drink water? Did you do your little 60 seconds of outside work or whatever? And then did you drink water? You need to drink this much water a day. And, like, there's so many variations now in water, whether it's alkali or more acidic. Like, people want, like, volcanic water and all this other crap. Like, I feel like there's so many things in there. And, like, for example, Fiji water.
Yeah.
It is so freaking popular and so expensive, and that plastic is terrible for the earth. But, like why do people hype it up so much? Like, why are you so quick to sell it and you're so, like...
Or, like, the fancy waters.
Exactly.
Like, what's the fucking difference? Like, what is the difference? Like, you think you're paying more money for fancier water?
Like, okay, maybe it tastes different because it's purified, but it probably has something in there.
Right. Yeah. Or, like, the whole game show thing you were talking about, it was like the Kass show app that like we had where like everybody tunes in live and like wins money.
That's first so of all, freaking where's this money coming from?
Exactly, and like that's so suspicious. Like I'm just like, this is so like Black Mirror. Like
Hold
one
on,
day
I have
it's
a question
like gonna happen.
I never played it. Did you guys pay for the app or whatever?
No.
So then what the fuck?
Exactly.
Where is it coming from? And it's just like Bitcoin. Where is that money coming from?
It's like coming from when you like sign up for the app. Like obviously no one reads the like terms and agreements, but they said like they like sell your numbers to advertisers or your I forget what it's called on your phone, like maybe your UPI number or something like that, but like it tracks what you search so that they can better show advertisements on your phone.
Oh my god, no wonder.
So I think that's where they're getting their money, but because they have no advertisements on their app or anything. So
and in the beginning he has like this whole like 1 minute like of just straight talking bullshit, and he said
spiel.
And like he's like, you hydrated? Did you drink your water? Which has nothing to do with the game show, and it's just like it doesn't sound like they care.
Right, and you don't have to drink water to play a game that you're sitting down and not being active for.
Like it's fishy.
Also, when they like apply the fluoride into the water, it's like I forget what the acid name is, but it's like an acidic liquid form of fluoride, and the people applying it literally wear hazmat suits, and they have like biohazard on the fluoride thing, and they're adding it to our water. And like I don't care if it's diluted, however much they say it is, because a toxin's still a toxin. I mean, like
it's only a matter of time before you build up enough.
I don't know. But also, like, you don't really know. I mean, you don't really know what to drink because you hear, like, distilled water is not good because, like, it'll leach the minerals out of your bones. And then you don't, like, spring water. I think spring water is, like, the best, I guess.
I feel like it just all comes down to, like, everybody's trying to kill us.
I don't know, but there's definitely something in the water because there's this movie called, there's two of them, actually. There's one called The Belko Experiment. And in The Belko Experiment, some guy who believes in conspiracies is like, no, like it's in the water, and he starts spilling and toppling over all of these little like the little dispensers, and he's the only one that lives and goes through the entire thing, and like everybody else gets like either like killed or shot or like some sort of injury, and he makes it pretty damn close to the end versus everybody else, and everybody else is worried about guns and all this stuff, and he's like, no, I just don't want the water. And then A Cure for Wellness. That movie is ridiculous, and you both should watch it.
Yeah, you should tell me.
It's literally, it's about water, and it's how there's these little animals in the water, and they're using the people to filter that water out, or well, not the water out, but filter the water, but filter the little things. It looks like leeches, but they never really name what that animal is. And they, like, use the human body to filter it out. And then they use the water, and it's got, like high youth, like, potential. I don't even know. Something about the telomeres, and it keeps you young forever, basically. And the guy who's running this entire place, it's kind of like a home. Like, you go there, and then you just get sicker and sicker and sicker as you go, obviously, because you're dying, because you're the filter. So you're collecting all the bullshit from the water. And then the guy who's running this whole thing, he's been alive for, like, hundreds of years. And the one girl who doesn't drink the water is his daughter, who he's kept alive and young and healthy with the filtered water. Yeah, it's weird. It's such a strange movie, but it's so good.
Let's watch it.
I think, like, the last thing to touch on with this fluoride thing is, like, the whole, like, the biggest part of it is, like, drinking the fluoride, like, what it does on your inside once it's in, like, it supposedly calcifies your, like, pineal gland, which is, like, something that us humans don't really use, or, like, I don't know if we, like, know the function of, but it's, like, they believe it's, like, more like a spiritual thing, and, like, I don't really know how to explain it. Do you know?
No. I just know that we don't really...
It's like
it was, like, for
supposed to,
spiritual things, and then they're like, oh, well, we don't really need it, so some people get it operated out. We don't really know the function, honestly.
So
it doesn't do
like,
it doesn't really do anything.
Like,
it doesn't change how your body works.
It's like, I think it has to do with, like, when you're about to die, you ever hear, like, seeing your life flash before your eyes. It has, like, something to do with that. Like, it kicks in when, I don't know, but it also, like, could have, like, some meaning or, like, function that we have lost touch with because of our, like, humans are so far out from there.
Oh my God.
I read I don't even know if it's true, but, like, about the whole, like, people getting it, like, surgically removed. I don't know. I read some weird stuff.
Yeah, that's crazy. Why would you get it removed? Like,
and then, like, but no, that kind of makes sense when you think about it. Like, the whole, like, the fluoride and how it calcifies it, and how, like, it was used for, like, spiritual whatever. Like, there's a reason why they want to calcify that part of your brain, you know?
Oh.
We could be, like, higher transcendental beings, but we don't, like,
know
how to use it, and
because we have this,
the water like inhibits.
Like, what if we, like, we're clairvoyant? Like, we were clairvoyant because, like, of that pineal gland.
Like, we could all be superheroes.
I'm like, oh my God, that's crazy. All right, let's go.
We talked forever about water.
Right. All right. This one gets you mad. And, like, I feel like when people talk about conspiracies, like, this is the one that they hit, like, immediately. But we'll touch upon it quickly then, so that way we don't get too heated. But we're gonna talk about the moon landing because we talked about it last week. We're gonna talk about it because I did some. Okay, obvious. Okay, this one I 100% believe. Like, this is not fake. It's not fake. The moon landing is fake. So whatever. So it's known that, like, Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong in 1969, they, like, you know, got to the moon. Blah blah blah. So it was televised during the Cold War. So. To me, it's literally just they wanted to show that we were the superpower and we can get to the moon. So let's,
right, because the whole space race started with the USSR and then it was like, that's basically how it started. Like, who had the most technological, like, advanced, why am I blanking on word? Yeah, there we go. Yeah. And it was like a sign of superiority because we were so, like, smart and blah 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 blah, and that's how it started. And then I agree though, right? Like, that thing had to be fake because then
what
it made you higher up. And then on top of that, if there is no air currents, there's no way that the American flag can wave.
And they were like, NASA came out and they were like, oh, it's because it unrolled and it was going back to its original shape. Like, no, that thing was waving. Like, it wasn't like unrolling.
It's not just like
So, like, it makes sense because, like, you know, the U.S. in 1969, we don't have much, but you know what we have? We have television in Hollywood. So let's get this guy in a set and, like, make a set.
That goes back to the whole JFK thing.
Yeah.
Where this was the very first election that was ever televised, and they say that he won because he was attractive.
Right.
And then they kill him off. Was this, like, an experiment?
Right. That shit's crazy. There's so much shit. Okay. Anyway, the other things that, like, go along with this were, like, if you look at, like, the televised thing, the background is, like, total blackness. Like, so, like, why is it that from why is it from major cities we can see stars with this light pollution and smog and shit like that, but, like, from the moon we couldn't see a single star in the sky?
Well, that, and, like, why did why did they make it seem like the moon was smaller than it really was? Like you were standing literally on a giant ball.
Oh yeah, it looked, because like it was so curved.
Yeah, it was like
they were literally on the curve. Like it wasn't like, obviously if we're walking outside,
it looks semi-flat. Like if you look down a long thing, it's got like perspective. But no,
like
this
on the
was
moon,
like,
you're right. I never thought about that. It's literally like they were like on a round
Were
ball.
they like on a hill? Do you think?
I don't know.
I don't know. Like
pretty.
I don't know how I feel about this. I'm like in the middle, but I think like
I will convince you right
like
now.
I don't know, because like if it's faked and if it's like from Hollywood, don't you think they would have like thought, hey, we should put like some stars in there, or like hey, we probably shouldn't blow
not at the time.
Because I guess they could have been in a rush, like you guys were saying.
That's what I think. They were like, we need to get this done before they do it.
At the same time, it was like, I don't know, it's just like
okay. Well,
I
listen
think
to
like
this,
because there's no light pollution whatsoever on the moon, and I don't know what kind of like cameras they had back then, but I'm sure that they could have picked up some light.
Yeah,
from stars.
and also, okay, here's another thing. There's a thing called a C rock, and like the letter C rock, and like there's a rock on the ground, and if you like look at it closely, there's a marked C on it, like a prop would be marked. So like the reasoning behind that is like they probably labeled it A, B, C, whatever, and they placed it.
Yeah, like they blocked it out, like bounce.
Right, but they forgot. Bounce to the A rock to the C rock, but I'm sorry. And so they probably just forgot to flip it or whatever, because like there's a clearly marked C.
I don't know. The whole thing is really sketchy. Also because this actually came up in the early 2000s, and they admitted to that being in a Universal Studios.
Right.
Sorry to put y'all out there. Actual like scene, like a little set.
Yeah, because they could have been to the moon since, but like I'm saying, at 1969 they weren't in the moon.
Right.
Yeah.
The moon.
And
They probably got there eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, why haven't we like gone back or like had any ambition to go back?
That's what I'm saying.
Especially
if
with,
we did it in 1969.
Exactly. Especially with all of this. So again, I'm from Florida, and we had all of these like rockets shoot out, and you could feel it in our house, even though we're like an hour away.
Right.
You can feel it and you can see it. What was the point of all of that?
Yeah, what are they doing?
Like,
I always
go? You know what I
wonder
mean?
where they're going.
Right.
You know what I think about? I think about in SpongeBob when they like go up in space and like they like
pass
the moon, and they're like they go around it and they're like and they go back down.
Right.
And they're like we're on space.
And I like distinctly remember being like, there were like 6 times where me and my family would run out and we'd stand there and we'd watch it.
Yeah, what were they doing? Is it for show? Like,
right,
that's
like,
the thing about all
it?
this. Like, I love like space and shit. I love
like,
NASA and shit. But
wait a minute, what if it was something else and they were using it to be like a space rocket? Whatever is what's making all this noise.
Oh my god!
Like it could be something else, and they're just using it as a cover up because the whole entire house shook.
Right.
And it's like the whole Cape Canaveral, and like it goes down, like the entire coast shook.
Yeah. Anyway, so here are the other things. Ready? So, in the reflection of the astronaut's helmet, you see a stage light. You literally see a stage light. Like, if you look close enough, it's like there's something there. Also, there's shadows going different ways on the moon. Like,
I did remember that.
Right.
Yeah.
If the sun is coming directly from one source, the shadow's going to be behind them or only to the right of them, or etc. But, like, if you look at the pictures, there's a shadow to the right of them. There's a shadow in front of them. Like, why are there so many shadows if there's only one light source? People say they could see the wires. I couldn't see it. And also, they say that if you land something like big, like a ship on the moon, it would create a crater. But like, it literally just looked like it was placed there. But yeah, that's all I have to. Did I sway you?
I don't. Maybe I have to see it. I haven't really done the research or looked at the videos or anything.
Well, look at the videos.
I literally just pulled it up.
I don't know. I mean, could the Earth be a? I don't want to linger on this one too long. But like, could the Earth be a light source too? Do you think?
I feel like it.
Because like the moon,
depending
the moon
on
is
our
a light
orbit,
source.
But I don't think it would have been that hard of a light. You know, because like
it's a call session.
Yeah, because the shadow, it wasn't like if you see my shadow right here, like it was a hard shadow. But yeah,
I guess time will tell.
Yeah, I can convince you on the Titanic though. I have a Titanic.
Oh,
theory.
I kind of believe that one.
Oh, you do?
I do believe that one.
Because like all the.
Just talk about it. Go.
All right.
Because I'm sitting here watching the video.
I got the facts, kids. Like, this is crazy.
That is true. Look at the shadows. They're like ridiculous.
Yeah, they're not like a light. It's not like a soft shadow. All right. So the Titanic conspiracy. So the Titanic was actually another ship, and they replaced it for an insurance. It was like an insurance scam to like get whatever money or whatever. So like it starts off in 1911. So if you can recall, the actual sinking of the Titanic was in 1912. So back in 1911, the Olympic got in an accident where it like collided with another ship. So they couldn't like send it out. Like they had to take it back for repairs or whatever. So later on, a year later, the Titanic launch actually had to be moved back from March 20th over to April 11th, I think, or 10th or 11th, something like that. So to make up for the money to repair it, but also the money missed out on revenue because like nothing was sailing and nothing was shipping out, they were like, we need to make back the money. And these are like big guys, like JP Morgan's like one of the guys, like four of them that like, you know, they're big scam artists. Like that's what they were. Like they were like professional scam artists. So, you know, if you look at it, the ships, like they basically look the same from the outside with just like a few minor details, and the plates are different. They changed the interior a little bit. So, like, the Olympic had tiles, but, like, you know, after wear and tear, there's, like, scuffs, there's footprints, there's stains from wine or something like that. So, they're like, you know, people get on board, they're going to be like, this is a new ship, why are there footprints? They replaced it with carpet to make it look new and stuff. They changed other things around, like, they put, like, some cabins from the new actual Titanic and put it in, and changed, like, I don't know, something from the main room in the Olympic and put it in the Titanic to make... You know, those are like distinct things to make it very convincing and stuff. But like if you look at this photo right here, so the Olympic, the windows are thin and they're unevenly spaced, but the Titanic have large windows evenly spaced. The original one. But then when you look back at the like photos like underwater, you see that they're thin, uneven, and these are photos like from before. So the Titanic was pictured being built, it had 14 evenly spaced portholes, but when it left Southampton for its voyage on April 10th, there we go, it had 16 unevenly spaced portholes. So like why did that just switch, you know? So they plan to have this sink, and like the people who had helped build the ship said that it was indeed switched, but they were forced to keep quiet because basically they were blackmailed. They're like, if you tell, like, you won't ever have a job again. This will be your last job. This is an excerpt I got from a website. I'll link it below. It says, a man in Australia sent a letter to the Northern Star newspaper on July 31st, 1996, which talks about the conversation his son had with Paddy, who was like this other guy, who was on the ship. Here's an extract of that letter. When the surviving crew got to port, they were all taken aside and met by two men, one in a high position in the company, the other man was in a very high position in the government. The government man read the crew the Official Secrets Act, explaining that if they told of the real reason for the sinking or the rumors of an insurance scam, they would serve a minimum of 20 years in jail and would never get a job when they got out. Also, first-class people canceled their trips last minute because, like, other people were ill in their families or their wives, but they were later seen fine. Like, JP Morgan said his wife was ill or whatever, but 2 days later in France, they were, like, perfectly fine. And he was one of the 4 people behind the plan, obviously. And, like, he literally spoke before this, like, before the whole switch thing happened, saying that, like, he was certifying that he was going to be on the ship. He's like, I will be there. And then all of a sudden you get canceled because your wife's ill, but it was fake. Right,
and then you end up in Paris.
Uh-huh.
France.
Yeah. And he also removed several bronze statues an hour before the ship left. Fishy.
Money.
Mm-hmm. So here's a photo of the sunken ship.
There were apparently, I've never heard like any of this stuff, so that's cool.
Really?
But I've heard like there were like 4 or 5 really rich people who opposed the formation of the Federal Reserve, which is like the U.S. dollar and like how pretty much our whole world runs on now. Mm-hmm. And like obviously J.P. Morgan is like for the Federal Reserve, so like they sunk the ship with those people on board and they all died.
That's what I heard. Yeah, this I've never heard.
Really?
To like silence the Federal Reserve.
Oh my God. Maybe probably a mix of both, honestly. Like they were like, we need money and here you go. Like, so yeah, and here's a photo of the wreck. So if like the photo gets enhanced in black and white, you see the black and white view of the window spacing, and this is the Olympic because this is the actual Titanic. You see the unevenly spaced windows.
You know what's funny? In the movie, they show a part where, this is weird that I remember this, but the portholes are unevenly spaced like that. And then later on, they're evenly spaced. I don't know if you've ever noticed that.
No, I
I've
haven't.
watched that movie 1,000 times.
I haven't. I haven't ever watched it, I don't think.
It's two fucking parts. Like,
that's why I haven't watched it through.
It used to be one of my mom's favorite movies.
Yeah. Yeah, my grandma had it on VHS.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, same. Part 1, part 2.
But yeah, so I think that's why. There was also this other thing where like if you did the math for, like, the math and, like, the science and all that behind the iceberg actually, like, ruining the ship that much, it doesn't add up.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what exactly it is, but I don't think that, like, the iceberg...
I feel like they weren't even going that fast for it to make... Like, they didn't reach a certain amount of knots. It was, like, a physical thing. Like, and you had to reach a certain amount of knots to be able to get that force back for it to actually...
And it wouldn't... Like, something like it wouldn't have filled that much so fast, and something like the iceberg wasn't big enough. I don't know the exact ones on that. I forgot, but I have watched it.
So what's the theory? Like, they had, like, an onboard explosive or something? That, like...
I think
unless they started kicking out, they could, if they had the right people on the ship, they could have gotten people to go into, like, the very bottom of the ship. I guess it's called the bow or whatever. And I'm probably wrong. I feel like that's the front. I don't know. Anyway, and you could actually, like, kick out the plates that are on the bottom. Because some of them are, like, copper plates and stuff like that. Yeah. Or, like, sometimes it's acrylic, like, depending on the kind of boat.
It's, I don't know. I have to look up that to, like, back my evidence completely. But it also is kind of funny how they advertise it to be the unsinkable ship, and then all of a sudden it sinks. Like, it probably was the unsinkable ship, and then, like,
and that's like, when they realized it.
Yeah, that's when they were like, oh, we should switch this, you know, for more money and to sink those 5 people on the boat, you know. And then it was like, oops, like, it sunk, like, and people were like, oh, that's funny. You said it was unsinkable. Like, why did this happen? It actually is unsinkable. We just switched the ships.
So where's the real one now? Did they, like, disassemble it?
I think they just passed the real one as the Olympic. I think that's what happened.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I'm not too sure. I guess I gotta...
I don't know. This whole thing is so sketchy.
It is so sketchy.
It's very weird because, like, for it to have sunk that fast, there had to be something else happening, not just in the front, because, like, yeah, it'll kind of crush it. I don't know what they were making the boats out of at that time.
Yeah.
But, like, there had to be actual, like, missing chunks of material on that end of the boat for it to tip that far up.
Right.
Supposedly how they said that it did.
Yeah, it, like, tipped up and, like, broke in half.
Exactly. If it tipped up, for it to break in half, that means that there had to have been material missing from the part that was deep in the water and it was pulling it down. And then why would your boat be that uneven that it was really heavy in the front too, that it snapped in half? Wouldn't it just go all the way down?
Right. I don't...
Because at that point, it's basically a shell.
It's so sketchy. I feel like there's definitely, like, hour-long documentaries on this, or, like, 2-hour-long documentaries that I need to, like,
watch one.
Because, I mean, this alone, like, so there's so much more to it, but, like, this alone, like, says to me, like, that it was switched. Like, the physical evidence is, like, it was switched. And, like, people wouldn't know that because it was so minuscule, and also the technology at the time.
What if the plan was that it was supposed to be the Titanic or whatever? They knew it was unsinkable, and these people were going on the thing. So then they switched it out for the Olympic. They really weren't thinking about the insurance money so much until after the fact that they're like, well, it's all a done deal.
Yeah, they were like, oops, double whammy. Like, they
exactly. Like, it was one or the other was unthought of, and I think it was more the insurance money part of it.
Yeah, because that's a lot of it.
Exactly.
Because the Olympic the year before,
exactly.
Crashed. Yeah.
So I think that was kind of the two-way thing.
It's kind of funny too because you know how I know that people just fucked up at the time, but, like, the first class people that they had get off, they were like, you know, they were like first class people first. Like, I feel like it was just like they're like, if the poor people get killed, like,
it doesn't matter because they don't have money.
They don't have money to sue you or money for whatever. Like, the first class people will be, like, fine. And, like, let's say, like, I don't know, let's say they get all this insurance money or whatever, or, like, the insurance claim, like, they get so much money that if, like, 1 or 2 rich people sue them, then it's just like, we still make a profit.
Right.
I'm just saying, it's sketchy.
It is sketchy.
All right.
Could I go off on?
Yes.
Speaking of J.P. Morgan, did you guys ever hear of, like, the theory that he, like, he pulled out his funding from Nikola Tesla's and the Tesla coil with, like, the free energy, because once he found out Tesla was going to give, like, free electricity to everyone, he withdrew his funding and they, like, took down his lab and stuff.
Yeah.
So because J.P. Morgan is, like, obviously like the fossil fuel.
Yeah.
So, like, or oil or whatever. But that whole goes like it goes along with the whole, like, technology suppression, and, like, the government, like, took all of Nikola Tesla's, like, publications and papers and, like, all his technology, like, we would probably be using, like, all this free electricity and, like, have Tesla coils everywhere today if it wasn't.
Without ruining the world.
Yeah. So.
And that it's just funny how you don't ever hear about Nikola Tesla until you get to college, if you're lucky.
Yeah, I haven't. Yeah. What do I know about it? Nothing. Right. You guys know because
he's one of the, like, most brilliant scientists of all time, and, like,
vegan.
could have changed our world.
Angel.
Well, he did change our world, but, like, they, like, suppressed so much stuff of it, and, like, he figured out so much stuff, especially with, like, free electricity.
Mm-hmm.
And
he was so smart.
Because it didn't go along with their agenda, I guess, or they didn't profit. They couldn't profit from it, so they.
It's just like a lot of these things are just like, if they can't profit from it, like, they're gonna hide it. They're gonna suppress it. Like, I mean, it just goes back on, like, we're gonna be like those annoying vegans or whatever. But, like, all that shit makes sense. Like, watch What the Health if, like, you haven't watched What the Health, because it's just like, it's the same thing. Like, why else does, like, everybody push, like, you know, eating meat and, like, you know, drinking milk and, like, all that kind of stuff. Like, milk is strong for your bones.
It doesn't even make sense.
Yeah, like, they literally had to stop saying that, like, eggs were good for you because they weren't good for you. Like, you can't legally say eggs are good for you anymore and shit like that.
That, and it's like if a woman comes in with osteoporosis, that's like your bone is not as dense as it should be. It's starting to, like, turn into kind of, like, spongy, and eventually it, like, crumbles. Why aren't they prescribing milk to these women?
Right. So it just goes to show, it's just like, why is, like, everybody pushing this? Why do people shut down vegans so quickly and say that, like, oh, they're just trying to push their agenda on me and blah, 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 when in reality, like, we're not going up to people and we're like,
we're not meat shamers,
like,
we're vegan pushers.
Yeah, I love when people make that argument, because, like, there's literally, like, you can go driving, like, on a highway, there's billboards, like, Chick-fil-A, eat more chicken.
Eat more chicken.
You have, like, Burger King commercials with, like, $1, like, beef patties, and, like there's literally meat and dairy products everywhere, and they say we're, like, pushing.
Right, and then if you look at who's sponsoring, who's funding, people like American Cancer Society, American Heart Association, American Diabetes Association, whatever they are, like, who is it? It's Tyson Chicken, it's McDonald's, it's everybody that provides meat. So, like, doesn't that make you question, like, you know, who's funding what, who's making money out of what, who's making money from our like, lack of knowledge, or from our illnesses, from like all these, like, deficiencies that we have, like, either in our head, like, mentally or physically. They're making money from all this, and that's, like, what all of these, like, kind of connect to. Like, all these, like, government conspiracy theories, all these science conspiracy theories, it all connects to, like, people not wanting us to know something because they are profiting from it one way or the other.
Right. And then my favorite is when people say that the whole, like, lack of protein.
No, but you're literally conditioned to think that, like, only meat gives you protein when, like, plants give you protein. Like, why aren't we taught that? Why do we have to go out of our way to learn that?
Exactly. And then on top of that, people are constantly saying, oh, like, I need a gram of protein per pound. Listen, meatheads, you don't, because those are two completely different measuring systems. You can't use a gram to compare that to a pound. It would be a kilogram. So,
yeah, and then it's just like shit like that, where it's just like, why don't we learn that? Why does everybody think that? Because I'm sure I thought that before, like, and, like,
definitely. I at one point thought I needed, when I was, like, working out, I was like, I need these protein shakes, I need to eat this much chicken each day, like, I need this much protein, like.
Right, when it's not.
You pee it out.
You could eat the most protein deficient foods, like rice and, like, potatoes, and still have plenty of protein.
Right.
Like, it's
not a thing that people actually experience.
Yeah, and
if you're experiencing some sort of, like, disorientation or, like, shaking or whatever, chances are it's a deficiency of vitamin D before it is protein.
Right. Yeah. Or because you did something too fast. Like,
I've never seen anyone with a protein deficiency. Like, is that even, like,
no,
a thing?
It's not a thing. Like, it's really not a thing.
As long as you're eating, you should be fine.
Yeah, literally, you can eat potato chips all day, every day, and be 100% fine on your protein.
Right. So, like, why, like, you know, it just comes back to, like, who taught us all that.
Right.
I think the craziest thing that I think it was in What the Health, but they were talking about, like, the most doctors or, like, nutritionists, like, don't study, or not nutritionists, but, like, most doctors or nurses or, you know, like, people in hospitals, they don't have to study nutrition at all. They don't learn about diet, and they don't learn about how it affects you.
And then, so it's not, like, a point on, like, I'm not saying that, like, doctors are, like, scamming you and stuff, but, like, it's, like, higher up than that. Like,
right.
Like, we are telling the doctors to learn this but not learn this, ignore this fact but like only study these things, and that's what's like constantly furthering like this belief that we all have.
A lot of doctors get like incentives from drug companies to prescribe certain drugs. Like, we're gonna feed you this to make you get this disease, and then we're going to treat it with this thing who's going to cause this side effect, so we're going to give you this thing, and it's money everywhere.
It's literally, and it just spirals.
Yeah, because why do people have 10 billion prescriptions? Like, I'll take my one B12 vitamin a day over like these 10 billion prescriptions.
Like, it's so expensive to be vegan, but like
it's
literally
more expensive to go to the hospital constantly.
Diseases, cancer is expensive,
and like also buying a pound of meat is expensive compared to buying like a pound of potatoes. Like
it's literally ridiculous, especially with the fact that when it comes to, there's actually a hospital right now in Florida that completely switched all of their dietary restrictions and all that stuff. There's no meat on premises. Anything that's edible in the building is all plant-based, and it's all going vegan. And then people are like, oh, I feel sick or whatever. Like, this is aside from the hospital. That was just like a side note. Like, people are constantly complaining about feeling sick, headaches, whatever, stomach pains, blah, 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 blah. And then they come and vegan shame us because we don't eat meat or whatever. I can't remember the last time that I was like really sick.
Right. I am perpetually sick all the time, and like since like I haven't been like, I mean, I know that I came back to the cold. Like I'm really not, like, I don't know. I also would drink coffee all the time, and now I feel like, well, for the most part, I mean, now that I'm back in school, I'm like, I don't know. But for the most part, like, you get more energy. So it just doesn't make sense. It's like you're fed these lies because they want you to think something, and then people don't believe it. I mean, like, us, we're like, okay, so like, let's, think of these conspiracies and stuff. We're gonna think past that, and that's probably why, that's we have this mindset that we're gonna challenge things and that we're gonna do what's best for us without listening to everybody else, and that's why all of us are plant-based now. But like, there was a time that we were listening to what the TV was telling us and what the billboards were telling us.
I feel like there's a plausible reason as to why it all started, and this is my personal theory. So like, during the World Wars, food was scarce, things were an issue, factories weren't working because we had men overseas, we had women working in places, just the whole focus was on the war, basically. So people aren't sitting here really focusing on growing soy and stuff like that, and like processing soy and milk and coconut milk and almond milk and stuff like that, So then they were pushing meat because it was easy access, it was cheaper in their eyes than having somebody making like almond milk or something like that, or going out of their way to import coconuts and do this and whatever. At the time, it was more expensive, I'll give you that. But that's why the majority of the people pushing meat and protein and stuff like that, especially on children, are like the grandparents and like that baby boomer age. Like, for example, I literally just heard this the other day, that a kid was eating with the mom or whatever, and the kid kept saying, I need meat or whatever, like, this is not enough protein for me to eat, and it was like eggs or whatever and stuff like for breakfast. And the kid kept saying, oh, my Grammy knows that I need meat, blah, 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 blah. And it's like the grandma pushing on the kid that you need all this protein, and it only comes from meat. And it comes from like a rooting idea of back when she was a kid, that's what you needed to eat because that's all they had. So like, I don't want to blame everybody for that, but like, I feel like there is like a reasonable explanation as to where it roots from, and now it's just ignorant. People don't think about that,
and plus it's the government still pushing shit, and plus television and ads, pushing obesity. I mean, it makes sense. Like, why else are people getting obese? What are they eating? What are people who don't have a lot of money, suffering from obesity eating? Dollar Menu meats.
There's like, I think it's like over 50% of adults in this country are obese. Like, there's more obese adults than there are not, like, just, and they're like, when are people going to admit that it's our diet that's causing the problem? Like,
and it's
they're like, it's like the last thing on their checklist. They're like, oh, genes, my dad had this disease, my mom's diabetic,
and then they go
and then it's like,
say,
it's like, it's not my fault. Like, they will literally blame the diet last.
I think it's just so easy.
And then they go out of their way to be like, oh, like, I don't have time to work out. It's the working out. Like, I sit all day at a chair and do this and this. I sit all day in a lab.
Me too. I don't do anything.
And I still make time to work out, but that's not my focus. You don't even have
to work out.
Exactly. That's not my focus. What I eat. And granted, and I'll give you this, there are unhealthy vegans out there because some people are lacking certain, like,
Yeah,
you
could eat Pop-Tarts and Oreos.
Exactly, like you can eat Oreos and like white bread and stuff like that and be vegan, and it's not a healthy option, but at the end of the day, it's still better than a double cheeseburger hold the lettuce. Like,
right. I'm just saying that something's constantly pushing this, like constantly, you know, why do we constantly see toddlers eating brisket off the table?
That's disgusting. I feel like it started with, like, what I said, and then the government started realizing that people were getting sick, and then was like, this is useful. What is happening? Right. And then they start looking, because that was like the more prominent areas that had like fast food were in the areas where people were really focusing on the war, and that was the poor people and stuff like that. Yeah. And that's where it's them. We're going to push this on them, and it's going to make us richer. And it's the systematically imposing like poverty on people. Like, the government relies on having poor people at all times, desperate for money, because one, it's cheap labor, and two, you get what you want without giving much. Right. So like there's like a whole systematic like algorithm and making sure that these people stay poor in certain areas of the world.
Yeah, and it also comes down to like, you know, obviously like things in access. I think you have to go. Do you have to go?
It's
nah.
Okay. It also comes down to just like you know, eating in excess. Like that's I mean, like, obviously we're not out here like you're gonna die immediately if you keep eating meat. Like, no, eat your veggies, eat your fruit, but like, if you're going to keep eating your meat, whatever. But at the same time, like, I think there was a time, you know, there was a point, like you said, after when, you know, people just kept eating all these, like, animal products, and they were getting sick. And then that's when it was like, oh, like, or someone
and that's when, like, cancer started really becoming a thing and stuff like that.
Because now it's like, it is our culture. Like, why do you think, like, America leads in, like, obesity, heart disease, like, all that shit? What do you think? What is our diet? What is the American meal? A hamburger, steak.
People don't even know. Like, they don't. When you go to an all-American grill, the very first thing that is on the menu is steak, burgers, grilled this, grilled that. But everything is like mac and cheese and mashed potatoes and like. Yeah. Newsflash: if you go to any restaurant and ask for rice, mac and cheese, or mashed potatoes, it has chicken stock in it.
Yeah. So like, it's just like, you know. Why do you think that we lead in all those things? Obviously, it has to be because of that diet. You know, it's not just, eat in excess. Well, if you ate broccoli in excess, you still wouldn't be obese, and you wouldn't have, like, heart problem. You might be lacking other things, but, like, you wouldn't have all those issues that, like, you get when eating a giant surplus of meat or milk or cheese or whatever. So it makes sense, but, like, we're not learning this for a reason, because our diseases are like funding the government, or like we're paying to just keep getting sick.
Right. Also, side note, I love it when people say a vegetable-based diet. If I was a vegetable-based diet, I would die.
Right.
I can't just live off of vegetables. I need fruits, nuts, and stuff like that. Yeah, like, I don't
grains.
just eat like carrots all day.
Like I have like a celery.
Yeah.
Literally.
A celery stalk
just
followed by broccoli.
All day.
A misconception.
Right.
Very common.
And it's like written, like, everybody believes what's on the internet and stuff like that. Like, somebody decided to go plant-based, and in the description of their decision or whatever, like, it was talking about, so and so goes vegetable-based diet. What? That's not even a thing.
It just what it comes down to is just like, we're not forcing anything to you, like, upon anybody, but at the same time, it's just like, understand where everything comes from, and like who is making you believe all these things.
Okay.
We could probably do a whole episode.
Yeah, we could.
We literally could.
We might as well have.
Yeah, right.
All right.
For a couple.
How do we get
two more?
Right.
Yeah, we got from the Titanic to.
Let's go to pyramids. The pyramids were not made by humans. They were made by aliens. I don't want to say aliens. I feel like that's a little, because people think like the little green guy with the eyes, you know. But
aliens are real.
Non-human beings that came in with super advanced technology, and for reasons other than tombs and stuff like that. Yeah. Like, it wasn't just, this is a nice place to put it. No, there's reasoning behind it.
Right. And can I just say, like, for the people listening and hearing, like, aliens or whatever, or extraterrestrial, at this point, if you believe that like we are the only living beings in this entire solar system. Like if you zoom in on stars, you see other like galaxies. So there's no possible way that we are the only living beings and that we are the smartest ones. We are dumb as fuck. So like there is no way that there are not super advanced people. Yeah. So just keep that in mind.
Right.
Go on.
So like my reason for saying this is because this is kind of an obvious one that a lot of people overlook, and I mentioned it to you guys earlier. For a person with minimal technology, just pulleys, levers, and like basic machinery, it would have taken probably 3 times the amount of time it took them to build one of those, let alone however many they have everywhere. Those blocks that to even make the materials would take forever. So for it to just be up and done and perfectly shaped, that like it was literally perfectly made.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How could you do that with just levers and pulleys and stuff like that? Like,
yeah, and also why does like every ancient civilization that was like a big ancient civilization, why did they all build pyramids?
Exactly.
They're like in remote places of the earth they've never communicated with. There's like no means of communicating. How do they all know to build the same things, the same structures,
and they all
the same sizes?
Exactly. They look the same. They may have variations, but they, in its fundamental just being, it looks the same. They all have similar characteristics. They point to similar areas, face certain ways. How is it possible?
With the stars.
Exactly. And like the electromagnetic fields.
Yeah.
How would it be possible for the Aztecs and the Mayans to have the same, I guess, capabilities and motives behind building their pyramids as the Egyptians? And if I'm not wrong, all of the pyramids were used for like burial grounds and tombs.
Yeah.
So why would they all have the same exact idea?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like there has to be a reasoning behind why
Right.
they used it, one, for tombs, especially for like kings and stuff like that. They all did this.
Right. I've never heard of this until you guys literally just said it. So
Really?
like I actually haven't, and I like actually like read into a lot of conspiracy theories. So that one's interesting. It makes a lot of sense.
This is something that I've always questioned since I was a kid because, and like I would always say it and people would make fun of me, but it's like they're too big for I don't want to say handful because it was like a lot of people doing it, but regardless if it was 1,000 people working on this thing, there is no absolute way that they could have gotten those giant blocks of clay and silt and all that high up in the air, perfectly positioned with twine ropes.
Because we don't know how they came
Some
to
of the
be.
rocks were they discovered like 500, 600 miles away. There's like no way.
How would you move that?
Oh.
They like humans might have helped build these, but they definitely were with some help. With
right. It was definitely with like higher up help.
That's some crazy shit. It was aliens.
There's like, I don't know, a theory that like some of the pyramids can be used to like harness the Earth's natural energy and like electricity, or like if you're like an advanced civilization coming to a planet and you like need energy, like that's what you need electricity or energy for like everything. So like, I don't know what they would use it for, if it's like their spacecrafts or I don't know, but. I think there's like...
I feel like it even has like healing properties because of the way they're placed. And then they put... This is really strange. But like they do put the dead in these things and they are so well preserved and stuff like that. How?
Some
and how did they know...
shit.
How did they know that these things, these techniques that they would use would preserve these beings for however long?
Right.
Like...
It's
trial and error, but nobody lived that long to ever see if it really worked, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
And it did. And then a lot of the, I don't want to call it mythology, but I guess that's the best word right now, but a lot of their, like, mythological beings and creatures, like Osiris and all that stuff. Like, how do you translate similar accounts again across different nations, like completely like the Mayans and the Aztecs? How did you get the sundial and stuff like that?
Right.
And so did the Egyptians in the almost exact same form.
Right.
How did you, like, they used certain body paintings that meant certain things, and there's some connection from the different civilizations, but nobody knows how or why.
Right. That's some crazy shit.
And it's all happening at the same time. It's not like it was like, 100 years ago this was happening here and then it happened here. No, it's all happening simultaneously.
Similar stories, similar drawings.
Right. Exactly. Similar beliefs. Like, people do certain things for the same reasons and stuff like that. Like, they had, for example, the Ankh is an Egyptian. It's the cross with the loop up top.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to symbolize, like, the ovaries and all that stuff. And it was for reproductive organs and just, like, for fertility and stuff like that. Then you go to the Mayans and the Aztecs. They have similar things that look like that.
Right.
It's not exactly the same thing, but it's the basic gist is there.
Right.
Where are they getting these things from?
Right.
They didn't just dream it up in their head. Maybe they did, but the information was spread somehow.
Did you watch Ancient Aliens? I feel like they definitely covered this. Ancient
Oh,
Aliens
yeah.
is apparently
Definitely.
like I never
one
have
of my
heard it.
favorite shows.
Is it?
When I was
I'm gonna start watching it. We should start watching it together.
Watch it.
There's one of the
Alright.
pyramids. That's really good.
Oh, okay. We'll watch it.
Okay, I have to watch it then.
All right. Want me to squeeze in one more?
Yeah.
All right. You pick. So I have. All right. Well, we could talk about something more pop culture-y to like kind of like go away from the situation, but I also have something about Trump running for president and like why he ran for president. Or I have something about like a conspiracy behind like that beauty pageant girl, JonBenet, that died. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
I think that's a good one. We could, yeah, let's do that one. Because we can stray. We'll stray from like all this like government talk.
Right.
Okay, because we'll get to it. Okay. So this one's crazy. So this one's pretty dark. Okay. So don't look.
I don't know what her name is. That's
Okay.
what I'm looking for.
JonBenet.
JonBenet.
So this is this girl. JonBenet, she was 5. No, she was 6, I think. 5 or 6. I don't know. 1996. She was 5 or 6 when she was killed, okay? So she was a beauty pageant girl. Super cute, like very
like
cute.
collars and tiaras kind
Collars
of
and
thing.
tiaras.
Familiar.
Yeah. You probably have heard of it. So basically what had happened was she went missing. Like the parents reported her as missing. It's the mom, the dad, the brother, and JonBenet.
Her last name Ramsey or something?
Yes.
Okay.
JonBenet Ramsey. Yep, you know it. So they reported her missing, and so the police came. They found the ransom note. Basically saying, "Oh, I've kidnapped JonBenet." Blah 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 blah. They all searched the house, and then the dad found her body in the basement. And there was no sign of a break-in except for a broken window, which could have obviously been staged, and also there were no footprints out in the snow before that. And she was found like there was like a blunt trauma to the head. She was strangled. She had like marks on her neck. And the parents were like weird about it. Also, just like if you report a kid missing, if you think your kid's missing, wouldn't you check around the house first? How did the dad just find JonBenet?
Where did he find her?
In the basement.
But like, was she like obscured in like a box or like behind
under
something?
sheets? I think something like that. Like something like not hard to find. Like
It was, like, not thought out
right,
well.
Exactly. So like if the police come and then all of a sudden the dad finds it, not the police finds the body, right? So the parents were weird about it. Like they avoided the police. They wanted to drop the case, which is like.
Why would you drop the case if your 5-6-year-old daughter was killed?
And you don't know the reason why, and there's a ransom.
That's like
right?
O.J. Simpson, where he was told that his wife was killed. He didn't ask the typical like 5W questions like who, what, when, where, and why. He was like, oh, so the things that are in the house, like where are they? He was worried about the actual location of certain baggage, and then he took that same baggage and was like,
and he said something else like sketchy that was like, oh, I forgot what it was. But anyway, so
I did way too much in this thing for forensics.
Oh yeah,
this whole
right. You had a paper, but yeah. So the brother was also interviewed, and he was just like, it sounded rehearsed when he did it. It sounded like the parents told him to say something because he was saying things like, I'd rather not answer that question, or no comment, like things like an adult would say. And
how old was he?
I think he was maybe 8 or something, like only a few years older.
What?
Yeah, so there were suspects. There was like the mom, the dad, the brother, and like a Santa. Basically, the Santa, we outruled him, but like the Santa was basically a guy who like would come over for like Christmas every year, or Christmas Eve every year. He would dress up as Santa, and he would be like, he would just be the Santa. And he apparently passed JonBenet a note because she died on December 26th. He passed JonBenet a note saying that like you'll get a special surprise after Christmas, and then she dies after Christmas. And coincidentally enough, he also had like a daughter who was kidnapped and missing after Christmas. So that was just like weird. But don't think it was him. I think it was all staged by the family. The brother, you know, they say that he was jealous and he wanted the spotlight. You know, JonBenet got all the spotlight because she was the pageant girl, you know, and things like that. And like he also had issues or whatever. So they said
I feel like that would make sense, especially like the parents didn't know what to do, so they like told him, okay, don't answer this, don't answer that. Like, you know the answer to these, say this, say that.
But wait till you hear the evidence and you'll change your mind.
Oh, no.
And like also like the marks on her neck kind of look like a taser kind of thing, but like it matched like something from the train, like a toy train, and the tracks on it. So it looked like that. And the mom, they were saying that like she had spotlight issues, that she was like, she used to be a pageant girl as well, but like she was living vicariously through JonBenet, and that she got like she went over the edge and like pushed her or something, and like you know she hit her head too hard, and they staged it to make it all of these things, all of these people. It was the blunt force trauma to the head that killed her, and then they staged it to make it look like they strangled her. Someone had strangled her. So, you know, she had pushed her, and then she, like, fell back, and then they staged it. The dad, however, I think it was the dad, because he was, like, sexually assaulting her, like, through this whole time, and, like, they covered it up. There's also a stupid conspiracy that JonBenet is still alive, and it's Katy Perry. I'll just put that out there, but it's not that. But the clues, so basically the ransom, it's in the mother's handwriting. Like not completely. They tried to make it different, but they literally took samples of her handwriting and connected it. Like, it looks like the mother's handwriting. Like, she wrote it. Also, when they did an autopsy on her, she had undigested pineapple in her stomach, meaning that she had to have eaten the pineapple within the past hour. Right. And there was pineapple on the table, and the mom's fingerprints were on there. And when she was asked about it, the mom was like, what? No, she didn't eat that or whatever. She goes, they were like, where were you? She goes, I was asleep. Then why were your fingerprints on the bowl? You know? Things like that. And so I watched a video, and I was telling you about the psychic twins before. Do you know the psychic twins? They've been around forever. They predicted major accidents. They predicted like killings. They predicted like a lot of celebrity stuff. They've been on like many talk shows and things like that. Like they're pretty legit. Like, I believe in them and stuff like that. I mean, a lot of people don't, but I mean, I believe in them. They're like pretty clairvoyant and stuff. But they were saying basically that the dad, who nobody talks about, the dad had another daughter from his first marriage, and she mysteriously died in a car accident. And before that, she was suicidal, and like also she had like these weird like memories about like some kind of sex ring or stuff like that, like as a kid.
Fuck? Hold on, where did this happen? What was the city?
Oh God, I'll look that up real quick.
I like weirdly know a lot about sex rings in different cities, like Waterloo.
Boulder, Colorado.
Oh,
yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, there's some weird stuff there, especially like this was before the legalization of weed. That was one of the few places where it was like, it's kind of like I don't know if you guys have seen Bates Motel, but it was kind of like that area where it was this little town, and behind the facade of the whole town, it was like a drug ring, like drug lords and like human trafficking and stuff like that. Oh
my God.
Like sex trafficking people.
So there you go.
Like it was like a point in, it was like a pit stop kind of thing. Like it wasn't the dead end, but it was the leaders of this entire town, like the mayor, the sheriff, and all that stuff. Like they were all in it.
That's crazy. Yeah. So there you go. Like, so like when they did.
Why I know that, but
that is weird. But the autopsy showed that like there was like sex abuse towards like JonBenet and stuff, and that like she had constantly gone to the doctor for constant yeast infections and like vaginal checkups at 5. Yeah, at 5.
And so the mom didn't do anything, like.
No. So they were saying that the whole family basically covered it up. That like, you know, that the mom may have known about it and stuff, but like when, you know, it got too far, and like they were like, we have to cover it up, you guys can't go to jail or whatever. And like even when like the police came, the dad was literally on the phone while the police were there trying to call a plane in for the next day. Like, fishy. Here, like, okay, and then like let me just show you this clip really quick. So this is the psychic twins. They say that like they're also like medium like kind of stuff, and they said that they had like contacted like JonBenet and stuff, and whether you believe this or not, like that's up to your discretion, but like this shit's crazy. Like they said that they had like contacted JonBenet at one point, and she said like daddy did it. Hold on. Then this is like Shane Dawson's video and stuff when he's with he meets up with the psychic twins to talk about JonBenet. So you guys can listen.
That's such an interesting name.
Okay, we're connecting with JonBenet Ramsey. We clothe ourselves in the white light of God and call on the angels to protect us from any harmful energy or negative energy. We connect with the spirit of JonBenet. Are you with us? Yes. Yes. I am here. Thank you for coming in and speaking with us today, JonBenet. We've been talking about your sad passing, and we've been talking with you a lot this week. Can you tell us what happened that night that you were killed? It was a shock. I was so surprised. I forgive Daddy and Mom for what happened. I forgive everyone involved in my murder. So who actually caused your death? I have to.
This is like her as a child.
And tell you, it was my day. My day. And I forgive him. It went on for a while. No one knew. Was he afraid you were going to tell someone? Oh, yes. Very afraid. It is not what it seems. Not what it seems. Mommy knew and did not tell. Mommy knew. Very painful. Are you with her now? Yes. Yes. Mommy is here. Thank you, JonBenet, for joining us today, and we wish you peace. You are so welcome. God bless you. God bless you all. Thank you, JonBenet. That's emotional. Wow.
It makes me uncomfortable.
Right.
I'm very uncomfortable.
Right. So like the whole thing with that was like the mom passed away from cancer. So like, you know, what karma? Like, I'm just saying karma. But so that's that whole thing. It's so crazy. You should really look into it. Like, it's fucking wild.
It's insane.
Okay, well, to end on a lighter note, I also think that Beyonce is lying about her age, and that she's actually, I think, a few years older than she is. And the proof behind that is one time her dad outed her and said that she was the same age as Usher and Pink, who are both older than her
How
on
old
paper.
Are they? Usher's like damn near 40. Not 40 something already.
Yeah, I mean, let's see, Pink age. Yeah, they were like, oh, they were both 14 at the same time or whatever. So Pink right now is 38. Beyonce right now is 36. And Usher is 39. So she said that like the dad said they were the same age as both of them. And also Gabriella Union also said that they hung out when they were teenagers. And Gabriella Union is like 8 years older than her, so it doesn't make sense for a 12-year-old to 6 years older than her. 6 doesn't make sense for a 12-year-old to hang out with an 18-year-old. So
who was older?
Again, Gabrielle Union. She said that
Gabrielle Union. I was thinking. Yeah. Listen, I was thinking about High School Musical.
I knew you were.
Wow.
So she said they hung out as teenagers. So why, like, that doesn't make sense for a 12-year-old to hang out with an 18-year-old. So I think for some reason she's lying about her age. And also there's a conspiracy that Illuminati. Solange is her child. I believe that for a while. And that her pregnancy was fake because it got flattened on TV once.
It got what?
Flattened on TV. Like when she went to sit down, her stomach like indented and like deflated. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying. Anyway, some of these conspiracies were dark. Some of them were just like, fuck the government.
We still have to talk about Antarctica soon.
We have to talk about a lot of things. So we need a part 2 because I didn't get to half the conspiracies
Neither did I.
Neither
did we.
But we we went off. Like we went off on things that we weren't supposed to go off about. Yeah, we got. I don't.
It was good.
I don't know. It was good. It was great. Again, government. Again, JonBenet's family. Again, what else do we? Again, Beyonce. Like these are just theories.
Avril Lavigne.
Avril Lavigne. Like these are just theories. Like we're just kids. We're just 21-year-olds who are conspiracists. So no harm intended. Don't kill us. Etc. But yeah, thanks to Andrew for
Thank you
coming
guys.
on and talking about chemtrails and science stuff. We'll have him on again because he's great. But yeah, thanks for watching. We didn't do a witching minute. I honestly,
I think it was our vegan time. It was like
that was like a witching 10 minutes. Yeah. But yeah, hope you enjoyed. Catch us next Tuesday. Next Tuesday we have a fun topic.
Yes.
Well, we won't reveal it right now.
No, don't.
Anyway.
I think it'll be a fun surprise.
It'll be a fun surprise. Okay. Anyway, like if you want, comment you want. Let us know if you have any suggestions or whatever. Catch you later.